Back in the ears, a bit of waka waka as well. World Cup fever is well and truly upon us. Welcome in, folks. This is Club and Country. Kev Egan alongside the main man, former US and MLS star Sacha Kljestan. We've got special guests coming up here on the show. Alex Freeman of Orlando City, Christian Roldan, Seattle Sounders, both starring for the US men's national team in what was an emphatic 5-1 victory over Uruguay. So much to break down here over the course of the next hour or so, Sash. And it's such an exciting time right now, not only for Major League Soccer players for the United States, but near and far here, Sash. It's a beautiful moment.
Oh, it's amazing. We're about 2 weeks away from the World Cup draw, where all the teams are going to learn the group stage and who they're going to play against. And I think the excitement is really starting to build. All of my buddies are asking me lately, like, when is the draw? What's happening? Who's qualified? And I'm like, there is craziness in this expanded World Cup. We're seeing some smaller countries qualify for the first time, which is going to be so exciting, and see all these fans from all over the world come to the United States, Mexico, Canada. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to see Curacao, Haiti, given everything that's going on in that country, Scotland returning for the first time this century to the World Cup. Those three jump to mind, Sash, as to why this expanded format, and they would argue that they'd be there anyway. You know what I mean? The Scots won their group, in fairness to them. Yep. But to do it in the way that we've seen, with the age of social media and with people having cell phones in their hands, I take the Scotland goal, the McLean goal at the very end of that game. The fact that everybody had their phone out, waiting for the full-time whistle for Scotland to beat Denmark. It was 3-2. It was the most nervous couple of minutes for every Scotland fan. And then McLean scores from the halfway line. So everybody caught it on their phones. And to be able to witness this on social media and the celebrations in Haiti and in Curacao too, what a beautiful time.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, think about Haiti, who, because of political and civil unrest there in the last couple of years, they didn't play any of their World Cup qualifiers at home and still made it to the World Cup. That's an unbelievable feat. And their fans will be so excited. Obviously, we have a big Haitian population in the States and in Florida specifically that I think are going to be loud and proud at their games, which is going to be very cool to see. I love a Cinderella story. I love an underdog story. So all these countries that are going to be at the World Cup for the first time or for the first time in a long time, also think about Jordan and Uzbekistan from Asian qualifying who are in the World Cup for the first time. It's just so cool. What an achievement. What a way to grow soccer in your country, because this is what grows soccer in those countries and in any country the most is World Cup fever. And when the whole country shuts down to tune in, to put their arms around each other, to cheer for their country, I think it's amazing. And I cannot wait, like I said.
Sash, I mean, it's phenomenal to think the Haiti head coach has never even been to the country. He's never set foot in Haiti. Because of the games being in Curacao, being played on the road due to the political unrest there and everything that's going on in the country, a country that's been ravaged by horrific weather conditions over the years, hurricanes that have hit the country. I'm so happy for the people of Haiti, and we've got lots of friends throughout Major League Soccer. I've got plenty of friends throughout the country that are from Haiti, but also MLS stars like Danny Jean-Jacques, and seeing him perform the way he has this season and now on the international stage as well. A bit of trivia for you, bud. Can you name this head coach? All right. This head coach has managed nations like, I'll start with Serbia. How about Iraq, Belgium, the Netherlands, Russia? Any idea? And now Curacao. We're talking Dick Advocaat, Sash. Dick Advocaat is the man leading Curacao, a nation of 156,000 people. And FIFA gave them permission to be able to play players that had played for the Dutch youth sides or the Dutch 21s to go and represent their country. Dick Advocaat's the man leading the charge there, 78 years young. What a story it is. Curacao heading to the World Cup.
Honestly, it's unbelievable for a country that small, that is literally smaller than the town, half the size of the town I grew up in. Right. Wow. I think the Huntington Beach has like 300,000 residents. So that is unbelievable feat. And all these players, obviously they've got some players who are playing, in the Netherlands, a bunch of European players and stuff like that. So it's very exciting to see these countries. And I just want to see how they're going to do at the World Cup. Come in with no fear, right? Come in. They'll be looking forward to the draw, to see who they get in their group, start planning and mapping these things out. So exciting, Kev.
Yeah, it really is. It's exciting, the road ahead for us here with Club and Country as well, folks. Get involved in the chat. We'll get some of the best comments out over the air as we go here with special guests Alex Freeman and Christian Roldan joining us in just a bit. Our next show after today, Lock It Down, will be the draw party. We're going to have a live show for the World Cup draw, Sash. We are going to be on location. Try and pick where we're going to be. You'll probably get it wrong. I'm guessing we'll be in either Philadelphia, Cincinnati, or Miami. But maybe New York City will upset the odds on the eastern side of things, and MLS Cup will be elsewhere. But we will be on location for MLS Cup. The day before MLS Cup is, of course, the World Cup draw being held in Washington, D.C. And we're going to have a live show for you right here on YouTube on MLS's account. And then December 11th is our final Club and Country of the year, before we return then in February with the guys, Mo Adu, on hand as well. Sash, I got to get your reaction. A 5-1 victory for the US men's national team against Bielsa's Uruguay. And I was thinking to myself as I'm watching the game, what a nightmare for the purists, huh? The ones out there that want to wax lyrical about Bielsa in his career, and rightly so. He's a legend of the game. But for MLS to represent the US in that way, to have the goal scorers in that way, and put a Bielsa team to the sword, I mean, those purists would be losing their rags, Sash.
This was as dominant of a performance I've seen from the U.S. men's national team against what's a top 30 team in the world in at least the last 5 years. This was the signature win, I think, that most fans were looking for from the U.S. men's national team under Pochettino. This was the game where you said, okay, look at, he even rotated guys from the first game. He gave a bunch of guys more chances in this game. I think he changed 9 starters.
9 starters, yeah.
And so for those players to take their opportunity and now make Poch's decision even harder, like what a headache he is going to have trying to choose 26 guys for this World Cup team, because he's given chances to a lot of players. And I would say lately, a lot of these players have taken their opportunities and seen their stock rise. And so well done to all the players that were on the field, specifically all those MLS guys who made Bielsa shut his mouth a little bit and who stood up, dominated at home, got the fans excited. This is what we wanted. We wanted this excitement, something to believe in, something to cheer for. This team is fun to cheer for right now, and we're all getting pumped up for the World Cup.
Sash, the tide has turned with Pochettino, hasn't it? Rapidly in the last couple of windows. This team, 5 games unbeaten now against teams, 5-game unbeaten streak versus World Cup bound teams, 4 wins on that run. And I think what we're seeing is a result from whomever steps into the role, right? So this is ultimately going to make it a devastating day when Pochettino has to pick his group for so many players that we now see as regulars. I'm looking at Diego Luna now, thinking he's a lock. But when we see the amount of competition that are going to be in his play for central midfield, look at Sebastian Berhalter and what he did. By the way, I think coming on Club and Country is a good thing. I think it's a good omen. Tessman balled after coming on the show. Berhalter balled and scored a belter after coming on the show. So good news for Christian Roldan later on today.
Look, and these guys come, they hang out with us. We lighten the mood a little bit, and they go out and ball out the next day. Yes, Kev, Diego Luna, I mean, he played in almost every game for the U.S. this season, this calendar year. I think he's a lock to make the team. I don't think he's a lock to start, but I do think he's a lock to make the team. And I do think that Christian Roldan, Tanner Tessman, and Sebastian Berhalter all made their case as to why they should definitely be on the roster as well. So a lot of guys took their moments in this camp. And with only 2 more games before he selects his roster, right? They're both going to be in Atlanta. That's the report that we've heard. To most likely play against Portugal and Belgium, which are going to be 2 more very good World Cup games at the Benz. That's the last chance to impress. But I would guess more in those March ones. This is close to what we're going to be as the final roster, and those guys are going to be, trying to figure out what's going to be the best 11 to start the World Cup.
I love the fact that Poch doesn't seem to care, and his post-game press conference left an awful lot to dissect here when he was asked about the other guys. He was asked about guys that simply weren't there. Pochettino saying, I don't want to be negative, but no, I hate that. And talking about the question, I hate that, he said. Not regular players. What does that mean? And then he goes on to say, I hate to talk in this way. It's so disrespectful. This is his quote. It's so disrespectful because I think we need to give credit to all the guys. What I really, really appreciate from the team, from the roster, and from all the staff is the way that we start to connect together. And that is the most important thing. What do you make of this, Sash?
Love it. Love it from him so much. And I think he is saying the right things because he is protecting the players that are in camp and standing up for them. And these are the guys that got the results over the last 2 games. It wasn't Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie and Anthony Robinson and all these other guys. Listen, when I think of our best team and the team that gives us the highest ceiling, I think it involves quite a few guys who were not in this camp. But they weren't there, and the players that were there took their opportunity, so they should be celebrated, and he should not be asked about the guys that weren't there. And so big respect to Poach for standing up for his guys, for putting his backing, his confidence within the players that were on the field, on the pitch against Uruguay that were dominant. And I just keep going back to these guys made their case to Poach, and they moved up in his eyes, and it just makes his job even more difficult now.
Yeah, but if I'm Anthony Robinson, not only am I worried about my health, I'm worried about getting back in at this rate, which sounds crazy given that he's a lock for the majority of people. If I'm Weston McKennie, I'm sorry, I'm nervous at this moment in time. You cannot, especially when a coach comes from afar, you can't guarantee anything. It is a blank slate. If this coach was conditioned by Major League Soccer and conditioned by the US soccer system, you can understand people thinking, well, it'll be Adams, it'll be McKennie, it'll be... Poch doesn't have that history. He's coming in with a blank slate, and I love this from him. And I love the fact that he will have McKennie and all these guys on high alert right now and making sure that they absolutely perform when given the next chance. McKennie, for example, has had 1 camp since March, Sash.
Yeah, that's... I'm with you there, that these players should be a little bit on edge. And that's the way you always should be in the national team. Every time I went into a camp, I was on edge because I was like, this... I don't know, is this my last opportunity? Am I in the team? Am I out of the team? I never felt like I had a secure spot on that team. And I think that's the way the national team should be. It should be that you come in on your best behavior every time. You want to make a positive impression. You are never comfortable. You're always a little bit on the edge of your seat. And that's the way you should be playing the game as well, knowing that, hey, I've got guys breathing down my neck. And so I do think there are some guys coming back from Europe that are going to feel like they're on the outside looking in. Having said that, I do think that those players on the field raise our ceiling and are still very good players. Just don't know if Poach sees it the same way. And it's going to be very interesting come March to see what type of roster he brings in for these 2 very high-profile friendlies.
And trust means so much, doesn't it? For a head coach, you've been there as a player, and I'm sure you can see it. The trust in delivering when it matters most for Pochettino, when it starts to get pretty heated out there in next summer at the World Cup is going to be key. Bielsa go ahead, yeah.
There are going to be some very talented players that miss out on the roster just because they don't fit into the group or the style of play. And that happens all the time. This will always happen in any World Cup roster selection process. Fans, us, we're going to dissect it. We're going to talk, why is this guy there? Why is not that guy there? But it's because Poach trusts those guys and he trusts what they bring to the group. And that's sometimes more important than individual quality.
All right. Well, leading into this game against Uruguay, a lot of the focus was naturally on Bielsa, a legendary coach who's had some comments. And Christian Oliveira is a player that's played for LAFC and starred in Major League Soccer. And a quote from him really did pique the interest of Major League Soccer fans, and rightly so as well. When he was talking about Bielsa, he said, I was playing for the U23s at the time. Bielsa told me to leave LAFC, saying it's not an appropriate league for me. MLS is a league that makes players lazy. Before we get into the game itself and his comments post-game, does that strike a nerve for you, a comment like that?
Of course. But what's Bielsa going to say now? What's he going to say? And I know he's under a lot of pressure, but that was an asinine comment for me to make that comment about Major League Soccer without having done his homework. Like, do you watch the games? Are you paying attention? I'm not sure. And take care of your own business at home before making comments like that. But listen, I think more what he was probably trying to say to Oliveira was, you need to be a regular starter and you need to be playing all the time and producing all the time, which Kike Oliveira was not doing at LAFC. He was in, he was out, he was thinking he was better than he was. And so I think he needed him to change teams so that he could go be a regular starter somewhere and start producing to play at what he thought might be his highest level. But no, don't disparage the league like that without paying attention. And
I think
then he learned the other day, Kev.
MLS is a lot of things, but lazy.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that at all. Look, if he means a lack of promotion and relegation, and maybe a lack of squeaky bum time for a lot of teams, or real pressure down the bottom, I can see it to a certain extent. But MLS is frantic. It's fun. And certainly at this time of year, the pressure is well and truly there, especially for a team like LAFC in action. Quick plug, Saturday night at BC Place, over 53,000 people. Saturday night, that's going to be an epic game as Son heads to take on Thomas Muller. After the game, Bielsa said this, quote, "In no way should the best Uruguayan players lose a match against the second string group of the United States." So while Pochettino doesn't want to label players, Bielsa's happy to go and do exactly that, saying second string group of the United States. And I love the fact that he had the lazy comments through Oliveira, obviously, about Major League Soccer. And it was MLS's Alex Freeman, who'll join us shortly on the show with the brace. It was MLS's Sebastian Berhalter, and an MLS product in Tanner Tessman scoring the goals. Talk about
Diego Luna as well.
Yeah, Luna too. Spot on. Talk about pie in the face, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. He learned, man. And he shouldn't be saying that after the game. It just makes him look worse also to say that you lost to a B team. It's not a B team. And this is what Pochettino was saying. A lot of these guys that were on the field, they are going to play in the World Cup, and they are going to be on the World Cup roster. So, yeah, I'd love to see Paraguay or Uruguay in our group at the World Cup again, and I'll smack them around on home soil one more time.
But they can't be that bad, though, because Uruguay were bad in this game, Sash. While the US were very, very good, I thought they met a lackluster Uruguayan side, and that is a descriptor I'd never thought I'd use when speaking about Uruguay.
Yeah, listen, we usually expect Uruguay to be a team that is very aggressive, that tries to throw in hard tackles, is very hard to play against. But I think you got to give credit to the U.S. on the day for being very good with the ball. And I keep going back to what Mark McKenzie said to us when we were in Philly. He said, we want to be the aggressors. We want to punch the other team in the face in the first moment. We don't want to react to anything. We want to press the game high. We want to play really fast with the ball. We want to create chances. And they did that in both games. Both games, they started very well and ended very well, which is such an important thing. So really well done to Pochettino for setting up the team. But then the guys on the field from back to front, the way they passed through the pressure, Uruguay, we made them look disorganized by how well we passed and got it from left to right and back to front, all those things. It was really, really good performance.
All right, let's do a little stock up, stock down here. Stock rising for you. There's three players here you have down. Berhalter, Freeman, and Gio Reyna.
Yeah, I think all three of those guys had a very good camp. Gio in the first game starts, gets his goal, gets his assist. That's exactly what you need out of an attacking midfielder, is to be decisive. And he was decisive, and he raised the level of the players around him. And, scores a goal, gets an assist. Sorry, that is stock up in any single game in which you win 2-1 and you're involved in both games. Well done.
How low was the stock beforehand, though? Like, obviously it's stock up, but where is his stock at right now, maybe in comparison to other players in his position?
Oof. Well, to be honest, I don't think other players in his position have, one, been available lately, right? Christian Pulisic is going to be a locked-on starter. Okay, that's one of the attacking mid.
I think Luna's competing with him.
Luna is competing with him, and Tillman is competing with him. We saw Aronson play in the first game, and Aronson, in my opinion, was no good. I think he's on the outside looking in. In that game, he couldn't beat anybody off the dribble. He was pushed off the ball. He didn't set up a chance. He didn't create a chance. He didn't get shot off. That was not good enough. So I do think that Reyna has lifted himself into the roster and possibly into the starting lineup, depending on how he does.
Big shout.
Tillman, I think, is maybe the other one, but he's not been available, and he's been injured recently. He had a very good Gold Cup, but since then we haven't seen him because he's been a little bit injured and settling in with his new team in Germany. So stock up there. Who else did we have? Berhalter had a great game. The way he delivers set pieces is such an important thing, right? To score that goal and then get the assist off the corner kick. Set pieces are so important in a World Cup. That's the equalizer, right? Maybe you're playing against a team that's better than you, but if you get a corner kick, that becomes your goal scoring opportunity. And with perfect delivery every time, that he's been so good with the club this season, scoring goals from long range and then also set piece delivery.
Help me out here, because As a fan watching the game, right? And I know I'm an Ireland fan, but I'm a US fan as well. My mother's from the US, half my family are from the US. I'm watching the US play. I don't want Pulisic taking corners. I don't want Pulisic taking a lot of the set pieces. I think if you've got someone else like Seb Berhalter who can whip in a ball as good as anybody, let him take him and free up Christian on the edge of the area, no?
I'm with that. I'm with that for sure. I'd rather have Christian's goal scoring instincts be in and around the box. He's just very good at putting himself in the right position, and he's always prepared to finish, right? Whether that's in a control and a finish or a one-touch shot. So, yeah, put Christian in and around the box. I know he's not the biggest guy, but if a ball falls somewhere in and around the box, I trust him to put it on target.
All right, and you have stock falling. Any goalkeeper not named Freeze?
See, this is a double-edged sword for me, right? Because I don't think Freeze played well. But he's clearly the number one right now. In the first game, I thought he could have done better on the goal. And in the second game, I thought he could have done better in the goal. He came way off his line, came fishing for a ball. He didn't get there. And then the ball bounced.
Guzan was pretty critical on TNT.
What's that?
Brad Guzan, I thought he was pretty critical on TNT.
As he should be. And Brad, I texted Brad Guzan during the game to be like, shouldn't he have come out and grabbed that cross against Paraguay? And he said, absolutely. You got to cheat off your line a little bit. And so he hasn't played great, in my opinion. And I do think that if we're going to go into the World Cup, I still would trust Matt Turner to start the game, to be more experienced, to have the big play. I think he's got that big play ability that Matt Turner can make the big save, the one that you don't expect, which is what you need in a World Cup. So listen, stock up for, Freeze a little bit, but I don't know. I think there are some guys that are breathing down his neck.
100%, especially the lack of experience of Schulte, Celentano, and other goalkeepers. I'm surprised Matt Turner is not part of this picture right now. Hopefully he's back in with the Revs and playing well to start the season next year. How about your best 11? We have about 4 minutes until we welcome Alex Freeman live to the show here. Tell a friend, folks. Join the action. Get your comments in below as well. I want to get your 11 as of right now as we hit the World Cup. What's it?
So this would be my best 11 to start the World Cup. And this is mine, not what Poach is going to do, just FYI, but I've got Matt Turner in goal. My back three would be McKenzie, Richards, Robinson, all three very smart players, very athletic players, that if you want players to push forward and you want to play aggressive, you need three guys back there that can put out fires. All three of those can be. And then Chris Richards is like the guy in the middle, the brains of the operation, good on the ball, directing traffic. Anthony Robinson, if he's healthy, is our best left wing back. And Serge Dest, I hope that he continues to progress and feel back to 100%, his ability to take on players. Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams are the two midfielders. And then up front, Balogun, Pulisic, Reina, all three of those guys just raise the ceiling of what we can do. Now, this is what I would do because I think this gives us the highest ceiling to be the best team at the World Cup. However, let's be very clear. There are players like Arfston, Alex Freeman, Christian Roldan, Tanner Tessman, Diego Luna, Sebastian Berhalter, Tim Weah, who are all pushing to be starters in this group. And I would not be surprised to see any of those players that I just named starting in the first World Cup game.
Weah is one that is clearly playing at a really high level, right? Playing over in France now. He could play that wing-back role. That might be the position with the most competition right now that you have Serginho Dest down for.
I do. I agree with you. I think that Tim Weah should be neck and neck with Dest as that right wing back spot. But then you've also got Alex Freeman that can play that maybe right wing back, right center back position. That one's going to be a tough. The battle for the starting spot there. And then let's be honest. Right now, Anthony Robinson has an uphill battle to climb to try to upseat Max Arfston, who has been very good in the left wing back role, also with the ability to take on players and all that. Tim Weah, I think, can also play in that Gio Reyna spot that I have on there as one of the attacking midfielders. We've also seen Poach use Weston McKennie in that role. I think Weston McKennie is better a little bit deeper. But listen, I
think it depends on the opponent, no?
Yeah, we've got a lot of quality in there, Kev, and the battle for spots is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, for me, the Weston McKennie position will depend on the opponent. If you're up against the side that are going to, if you're playing against Spain, for example, I think McKennie can play in that Gio Reyna position where you have Reyna right now, and then you bring in Christian Roldan, or you bring in a warrior in midfield, Roldan, who's joining us here on the show very shortly. I think that's a real area of consideration. I think also, I want to see Diego Luna shut a few people up. I want to see Diego Luna get an opportunity in a big game, because there's a lot of people out there that are quick to say, oh, I don't know if he's quick enough for the grandest stage. I don't know if he's creative enough. I don't know, because he hasn't done it in a different league. This is where I want to see Diego Luna get that chance and have a World Cup moment. In every World Cup, there's a young breakout star, and I am not ruling out Diego Luna producing a big-time moment with a fancy schmancy haircut and going viral around the world for who he is and the player that he is. And I hope Luna gets that chance, because Luna, I'm looking at this team, I've seen Gio Reyna with one big performance under Mauricio Pochettino. Luna has been the guy and is probably taking shade off people because people just expect that Gio Reyna is going to be back in, or other big players are going to take his spot. But Luna's looking at this team sheet thinking, I got to be in that now.
100%. Luna should feel confident with the confidence that Poch has in him, the amount of games that he has played this season. That's why I think that Luna is going to be a lock for the roster, and I think he will play in the World Cup. I don't know if it will be from the start or if he's a game changer off the bench, but he has cemented himself into this team 100%.
What about Tillman then? He's another one that you have on the outs looking in after a brilliant Gold Cup, a brilliant summer, when he seemed to be the best player for the US, both Richards and Tillman we were talking about.
Yeah, Tillman, a lot of these guys in that 11, it's going to depend on form and health, right? And how they're doing physically as they approach the World Cup. Tillman has a very high ceiling as well, very, very high. So I could see him definitely, if he's healthy and playing well towards the end of the season in the Bundesliga, starting over Gio Reyna in that other number 10 spot alongside Christian Pulisic. We've got options, Kev, man. It's exciting. It's funny how the temperature has turned in the last 6 months or so around this team, where it was like, back in March in the Nations League, we were down in the dumps and we had questions and we were not confident. And now, boy, are we feeling good. And there are so many players that are going to be knocking on the door.
I just think with the national team, like it's the same with Hallgrimsson in Ireland, Pochettino with the US, there's other big time examples of this around the world. I think Thomas Tuchel with England is another great example of a foreign manager that's come in with a totally blank slate.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite refreshing, actually. And I think, if anything, at some point soon, we're going to have to see a narrower group. And he doesn't have much time left to do it, because it's all well and good us talking about Christian Roldan, Aidan Morris, Seb Berhalter. 2 of those 3 probably won't make the group. As wild as it is to say, there's just so many players. What has he given? Like 73 players a chance, something along those lines, since he's come in as national team head coach. One of those guys he's given a chance to, we're getting set to welcome here in just a few moments' time on the show. What are you excited to talk to Alex Freeman about? Because he's had quite the year, hasn't he?
What a whirlwind of a season. I don't know if he could have dreamt it up this quickly, that this season would go so well and he would hit such heights, and kind of what he sees for himself in the future, I think is going to be very exciting. But then also just what a moment. Like I've had moments like he had this past week, where I got to score some goals for the national team in my home state, right? Like very close to home, all of my family, all of my friends in the crowd, memories that I'll take with me for my whole life. I want to see how he's feeling after that big performance.
Do you know what struck me about him in recent weeks is his maturation? Like, how, and you can speak to this far greater than I can, but to play as a right wing back versus a right centre back is drastically different, isn't it?
Yeah. But you gotta, there's bits and pieces to that, Kev. So there's one that's like, okay, you have different responsibilities, but within the game, you're still the same player, and you get on the ball and you have confidence. And I always said, you could put me in any position on the field and I will help make the game better. And so there were different moments in Champions League and Europa League back when I played for Anderlecht, Kev, where if we were losing in a game, he would, take out a defender, throw on another attacker, and maybe put me at left back.
Or really? You played left back?
The last 10 minutes against Arsenal, Kev, where we were pushing. We were down 3-0. We ended up coming back 3-3. I played center back for the last 10 minutes against Arsenal because we were just dominating possession, pushing them back. And so I always thought, I don't care where you put me.
Yeah.
Throw me on the field from striker to center back to left back, whatever it is, I will affect the game in a positive way. And I think that Alex has done that throughout this season. We saw early on with Orlando, maybe he wasn't as adventurous going forward. Then by towards the end of the season, he's probably one of their best attackers from a right back position. It's been fun to watch his maturation.
But he's so young, and that's the difference here. I think when we're talking the maturation process, and a kid that's 21 years of age, I think And again, it's I've never played pro like you, but I'd imagine tactically you're going up against a big powerhouse like Uruguay. The difference between playing wing back when you've got the ball versus tactically disciplined enough to play as a right center back. I think he's shown Pochettino that that's an option for him. And obviously he's incredibly athletic. And it's one of the best parts about this US men's national team roster for me is the athleticism. This team will not be out-muscled or beaten for speed in any category of the field. I'm excited for his future. I think he's had a breakout year, obviously, under Oscar Pereja. And I just wonder what his ceiling is, because I didn't know at the start of the year. I knew he had the speed and I knew he had this adventurous nature about him.
Yep.
I didn't know he had that sort of touch like we saw against Uruguay inside the area, to meander through pressure and to bury the ball and to look as confident and as cool as we saw from him. I did not know he had that in his locker.
That's because you haven't been paying attention, Kev, because Bradley Wright Phillips and I talk about this in the studio all the time when we watch Orlando play. The way that he comes inside almost like a center midfielder in possession sometimes, he's comfortable doing that. He's comfortable playing cheeky little passes into the midfield that are, sometimes they might look risky, but I think they're calculated. So I think we look at him and see like this 6'2", big physical looking player, and we just think, oh man, he must be fast and strong. And like, no, this kid understands the game. Like I love watching him play. I love watching outside backs that are more than just doing this the whole game, running up and down. They tuck inside when they need to. They can drift out wide. They can drop deep to suck a defender in. But then when they join the attack and you go at full speed, look at the goal he scored. He came from the left side of the 18-yard box to cut inside on his right foot and finish that one. Versatility is going to go a long way, especially when you play this 3-4-3 formation, to have guys that can play in multiple spots depending on the game, depending on what's happening. 20 minutes left, you're searching for a goal. You take a little bit more risk. You take off a center back, put on another winger or an attacker. I think his versatility is going to help him make this roster. I
would love to ask you guys watching on the chat right now, who are your locks? Who are the players that are absolute locks for you, with the window now closed for 2025 as we approach 2026 in the World Cup? Which players are locked in for you? Have you said that Christian Roldan will be a lock for you yet?
Yeah, I think Christian Roldan is a lock. I think he's 100% a lock to make the team. Based on what he's shown in the last 2-3 camps, ever since he got brought back in, that Pochettino and the way that he's talked about him and how much he gives to the group, what he gives to the game. And then I think he's had a positive performance in all the game, which is the most important thing. Like, you can be the best teammate, you can be the best guy in training, you can help out everything. But when you play in the game, if you don't show up, you're not going to be on the roster. He has shown up in the games. I thought his best game was the one against Australia, where he picked up a couple of assists, but he affects the game in so many ways, just cutting passing lanes, deflecting passes, right? And then just being a connector and being a guy that covers probably more ground on the field than anybody else. I think he has locked his way onto this roster, and it's going to, whether he starts or comes off the bench or doesn't play at all at the World Cup, he will be there.
I think he's a very similar player to Tyler Adams. In what he can do. He can cover a lot of ground. He can be a real vocal leader. I've loved what I've seen from him, especially at the Club World Cup. At the Club World Cup, I saw a shade of Christian Roldan that we had seen in Major League Soccer, but to see him do it against Botafogo, Atletico Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain, it maybe shone a different light on him, that he can do this on the world stage against much, much better opposition, and he can be a disruptor, but then he can play going forward as well. I think he's such a great option. If Tyler Adams isn't ready to go, or who knows with Poch. Again, here comes this blank slate. Poch might see him as the number one holding midfielder or central midfielder there for this team.
Yeah, I think you're spot on that the performances in big games during this club season are what caught the eye of Pochettino, because we see it week in and week out in MLS. But think about the League's Cup final against Inter Miami as well. The way that he played against Messi and the way that he played in that game and led his team to another title. He has really shown that he should be part of this conversation. And I'm very happy that he has been, because I trained with Christians in the off seasons when he was back in California in his younger days in MLS, and I know up close and personal how good he is and what he does to the game and the way he affects the game. And then to just see him continue to level himself up year after year after year after year, becoming a Seattle Sounders legend. I'm happy he's back in with the team.
And there are certain players, Sash, that I'm sure you notice get better with age, right? Just because you get to 27, 28 doesn't mean that you've peaked in the game. Sometimes the players that get that little bit older find
Yeah.
their peak later, right? Why is that?
Well, I think the more games you play, you just keep learning little things, right? Little nuances of the game that you can continue to get better. And then your physicality starts to dip, and then that's when you even have to continue to get smarter. I do think that Christian is still at his peak physicality as an athlete. I think he's still able to affect the game in a physical way, but he's just such an intelligent player as well. Like, you can cut passing lanes, and you can make those forward passes that are maybe a little bit more risky now because you fine-tuned your game. And then obviously he always chips in with little goals and assists here and there, which is always phenomenal for a center midfielder.
Yeah, we're going to have Alex Freeman joining us in just a moment here on the show live, guys. US national team star, Orlando City star as well. First, Ash, I want to ask you about the striker position, because it seems to me like a worrying enough position in the sense that if Balogun is not available, if something happens, Flo Balogun, I don't know who the next guy to step up is. And I don't know if it's the perfect fit. He seems to be the perfect mold of striker and the perfect fit for this group right now.
Yeah, listen, if he's not there, I think we can see that Haji Wright is the next in line, and then probably Pepe is the one that's off the bench. And I have confidence in those guys as well. I think Haji Wright has done very well for himself in the championship the last couple of years. I think he's full of confidence. He didn't have a lot of goal scoring chances against Uruguay, but I thought he did a lot of good work off the ball and on the ball and bringing players in and making good runs and opening space for other guys, which is important also. Pepe has shown for PSV, specifically in the Champions League, the ability to get late goals. And this is what I love about him. In limited opportunities over the last 2 years with PSV, he has popped up and scored some massive goals for that club against some massive teams in Europe. So I'm excited about the ability of Pepe to be a super sub off the bench when you need a goal.
Yeah, I just think personality is something that maybe we're not considering enough as fans of the game, right? I've never been in those locker rooms like you have with the national team, but the personalities you want when you're away for, it could be 6 weeks in total? It's a longer World Cup. It's 39 days. You want to get all the way to the final. So you're probably away for about 6 weeks together as a group. And all you hear is great things about the likes of Roldan, for example, and guys that are just connectors, glue pieces. I think is nearly an insult to certain guys that are ballers that deserve all the praise in the world, and they're called glue pieces. But being a good culture guy, I'd imagine, is part of Pochettino's notes when he's evaluating players.
Yeah, this is what goes back to Kev. There are going to be some talented players who miss out on this roster, and then there are going to be some players that are those connectors, right? Guys that are very good in training, guys that push the level, guys that support their teammates and are excited to be there, whether they're the 26th man on the roster or the first name on the team sheet. So you got to build that culture, which I think he has done by calling in so many players, keeping players on their toes, and setting the culture in that group is very important. I think he's done a very good job of that we see. We're not on the inside, but we see during the games. And I almost think that fight against Paraguay at the end of the game just brought that group together even more. I loved that moment.
But I'm sure it's moments where even you get to go out as a team afterwards. We still have to get into Ireland and what the Irish did and the draw Ireland are getting set to take on Czechia, the Czechs, in March. And then if they win that game, it's a home game against either Denmark or North Macedonia, which is a massive, massive chance for Ireland. But I'm just seeing the images of the players celebrating together, going out and having a Guinness after the game and making sure that the partying together, Sash, is nearly as important, isn't it? We talk about this even from a television standpoint, the fact that us fellas get along so well on air, but we'll also go share a coffee or a beer and have chats about family and everything else. And that's the kind of part that ties it all together, right? So when you go to war with each other or you go to battle in the World Cup, you've got each other's backs and you understand the fabric of each and every person.
It's a very important part, Kev. You get it. In any team that you work in, whether you work in an office setting or whether you're on a professional sports team or the national team, yes, hanging out and drinking a coffee and chatting for 2 hours about life, kids, anything, your hobbies, all that stuff, connecting with people, that's more important, because then when you get on the pitch, you understand that person better. That's your partner. That's somebody that you depend on. And I think all of these guys enjoyed doing that. We asked Seb Berhalter, what's been the most fun part about being in camp with all these guys? And he said, honestly, just getting coffee with the dudes and hanging out and getting to know each other on another level.
I'm glad you brought that up about him. He really did surprise me in the best way possible with his personality. And obviously we've seen the images of him and Nathan Morris years ago, doing the funny, excuse me, dance to Taylor Swift and having a laugh with that. But from a personality standpoint, I just loved him. I thought he was just magic. When he arrived on set with us for Club and Country in Tampa, the fun that he had, the relaxed nature that he had. Again, if I'm Pochettino and I've got these different categories, I'm looking at him going, okay, he looks like he's a good culture guy. He's good fun, and lads are going to have a laugh and be relaxed around him, you know?
You got to be comfortable in your own skin, Kevin. You got to be willing to be yourself, you know, and not try to be somebody else. Try to show what you are good at. Bring your qualities to the team, and that's on the field and off the pitch. And so it's important that all the players show that they feel confident to do that. And that's setting the culture also. I think Poch has done a good job of doing that.
All right, one fella that's done exactly that, and we love seeing his big smile on our show. We get to join Alex Freeman live right now on Club and Country. Welcome in, Alex. Delighted you're with us. Congrats. Another brilliant performance by you. A couple of goals against a Bielsa-led Uruguay side. Not too shabby at all. Life is really good right now, isn't it, for Alex Freeman?
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. Very grateful that I was able to get the 2 goals, you know, especially back in Florida as well. I think I just have a thing about scoring down here. I don't know. But it was definitely something I can remember forever, especially having a lot of my family there as well.
How many people were in the house for you? Did you get a bunch of ticket requests?
I had 16 ticket requests that I gave out. That's
nice.
Not even counting the people who bought it on their own. So
yeah, I love that. So I grew up in Southern California, and I had one of my best games for the national team was in LA also, and I had the same. So I know what it's like, man. Did you get the game ball after the game? Everybody sign it. What'd you do?
Yeah, I just took it. They were kind of giving me a little bit about it. They're like, you're only supposed to take when you score a hat trick, but my first goal, I gotta take it. So I was able to take that as well. So I think it was a very good moment for me.
Hey, Alex. Let's go back to, say, a year ago right now, right? You haven't quite broken through, right? You had this breakout season, obviously, in 2025 with Orlando City and the national team. Where were you at a year ago today in terms of your dreams and aspirations in your playing career?
Yeah, I think a year ago today, my dreams were to be able to get my first start, you know, be able to just get to see the field more and try to get the trust of Oscar, you know, and I feel like it's crazy how dreams can change, but back then it was definitely just being able to be consistent with playing and just be able to try to break into the first team, you know, and that was definitely one of my probably most of my dreams when I was about a year ago. So it definitely changed now.
Do you write down goals at the beginning of the season of what you want out of anything to try to set limits for yourself, or do you just try to one training session at a time?
I think it's both. I think obviously I write down a lot of goals for myself, but obviously, you know, I think it's one day at a time. I got to work and be able to perform. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but it's good to have that kind of balance.
Alex, you're asked about it all the time, I know, but your dad won a Super Bowl in a different sport. He was a star. I love being around the likes of Sash, Dax, Brad, Kalen on a weekly basis because they're high achievers in the sport that they're in. What was it like growing up in a family where you did have high performers in terms of sport? Does that help when you're growing up as a kid, understanding the standards and the level you need to get to?
Yeah, I definitely think it helped as a kid to just maybe get that mindset very early on in life. Just be able to have that mindset of winning and be able to want to be the best. You know, and I feel like my dad very well put that on me at a very young age. And I think it was even better, you know, to have him, you know, kind of see me do something different than he did, you know, just to get that kind of different perspective from him, you know, maybe not in soccer wise, but being able to, in a professional way, just be able to get notes from him and feedback from him, you know, get those inspirational speeches you need as a father. He was very good at. So just not
give us an example. What was he like? What sort of inspirational speeches are you talking about here?
Yeah, I think when I told him when I was starting my first game for Orlando, I feel like for him, one of the inspirational speeches he had to me was just being able to take the opportunity. And I feel like, you know, as a young guy, obviously as a young kid, you know, you don't remember much about what he said because, you know, you're a young kid. You have a big ego, you know, when you're a young guy. But I think the most recent one I kind of remember, and it'll just be able to take the opportunities and make them, realize that you deserve to be on the pitch and they shouldn't take you out. So yeah.
Does he understand soccer? Like, does he watch the game and understand what's happening and can they like analyze it in a way, or is it he not a soccer person at all, your dad?
No, now he is.
Yeah.
Nice. I think because he watches and comes to like almost all of my games. It's that like, it's funny because now he knows a lot about soccer, and now he tells some people in my family who don't know much about it. He's kind of telling them about it as well. Yeah. So I think that kind of gets him happy that now he knows more soccer than some people.
So back in the day, Alex, like I have my son James plays baseball, and I haven't got a clue about baseball. So I'm out there watching, and it's nearly empowering for him that he can teach me about the game, and he's only 6 years of age. Do you remember that as a kid, like being able to teach your dad about soccer and taking great joy in that, or any memories?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like that's something that I still do now. I feel like it's so good to be able to kind of teach stuff from someone you look up to, someone that that's been by your side the whole time, and I think it's good that, not only am I telling him stuff about this, that he's taking it all in and trying to do his best to learn as well. So I feel like it's just so good to have that kind of relationship with my dad.
There's got to be part of you that's excited that the season is over because your body probably needs a break, but I think there's probably another side of you, as I think back to my playing career, that I hated the off season because then you just got to keep putting in the work, and you just want to be playing games. So I'm wondering what's next for you. Take a little bit of break, you going on vacation or something, and then how are you planning on being ready for the next season?
Yeah, I feel like for me, obviously it's been a long season, so I think it's, like you said, it's a much needed break. Obviously, I'm disappointed that we got knocked out of the playoffs very early. But on the other hand, it gives me more time to reset and be able to just hang out with family and friends that, I wasn't, able to hang out with during the season because it was so busy. Vacation-wise, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to plan something to go somewhere and just relax, just get my mind out of everything, just be able to just do stuff freely. And then I think for me also is to train this off-season. I feel like that's very important to stay fit and be able to be 100%, coming into preseason with Orlando. I feel like it's something that, I'm going to need to not only do well, but I'm going to need to impress again. I feel like it's another chance for me to impress Oscar and impress the players, knowing that not only am I going to come back good, but I'm going to come back even better than last season.
Love that, Sasha. Yeah. Love that, because I'm sure, Sasha, a lot of younger guys that you've shared a locker room with didn't have that mentality heading into an off-season.
Yeah, there were some guys that I played with that wanted to disconnect completely and get away from the game. And then there were a bunch of guys, especially in Southern California. I always tried to say, okay, I need 3 weeks for my body to rest. 3 weeks of nothing. No touching a soccer ball, no going for a run, absolutely nothing. And then after that, I couldn't wait to get back. And we started setting up about 3 times a week here in Southern California. We would get all the pros that were back in town. Christian Roldan was one of them, and Alex Roldan, his brother. And, we would get games 7v7, something like that. Just a good run for like 2 hours to try to keep the level up and keep working out again. But I hated that players came in and thought that preseason was the time to get fit. I thought you needed to come into preseason already top fit and already ready to start the season. And so I just think that's important. Do you feel like that, Alex? Like you feel like you should come into preseason top fit?
Yeah, I do feel like that. I feel like that's something that athletes should, especially soccer players, should come in preseason ready. You don't want to come in preseason and already behind. That's something that, it changes the whole perspective of the year coming, So I think just be able to be 100% and not only that, be fit when you come in, don't come overweight, don't come without fitness, because coaches see that stuff and, they're going to see that stuff right away. And I think it's just, like you said, you're there to impress right when preseason. So, you got to be at 100% and be able to, stay in shape.
I'll never hear that.
I know.
Don't come in overweight, Kev, all right?
It took me back to when I was playing Gaelic football. No joke. Gaelic football is our national pastime back in Ireland, Alex. And I was breaking through to the first team for our club and I was playing well. And I'll never forget the first team head coach, right, the senior manager, held this big meeting. And in the meeting, he said, and you guys better start watching your diet and getting some sleep. For example, I saw one of you lads out watching a game, right? And you had a big fried chicken roll. He said you had a big chocolate bar and a big massive bag of salt and vinegar. And I'll never forget my friend Shane, nudging me and saying, that was you. And I was like, oh, he's right. And it's like, back then, obviously I never got close to the realm that you guys are in, but there was no awareness of taking care of yourself, the diet, the sleep, just being an absolute pro. Now, listen, on the lighter side of being a pro, Alex, you broke through to the Orlando team and obviously the national team. You're 21 years of age. Tell me there was a fun initiation or something that you had to do to impress the older pros.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I think going into everything, it was hard. You know, I had to come in and impress. You know, I had to come in and try to fit right in, you know, especially as a young guy. And I feel like in the U.S. and Orlando, I feel like they brought me in and just accepted me so easily. And I feel like it was just so good. And I feel like, yeah, in a lot of ways, I had to come in and try to work. You know, obviously these guys are going to give me stuff. You know, they're going to give me stuff every dinner, every trading. You know, I got to go in the middle of every rondo and U.S. team.
No karaoke?
Yeah, did you have to sing a song on your debut, first camp?
No, the first camp, yes. In Gold Cup, I sing a song.
What'd you sing?
What did I sing?
He's pretended he forgot
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Come on, give it to us.
I sang a Usher song. You Got It Bad.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Let's go. You got it. You got it.
Oh, Alex, fair play to you, man.
I
I just love how much of an infectious enthusiasm you have. When you did the post-game interview with TNT the other night, I find myself smiling watching you and the moment in life that you're in right now. And the fact that you said you have such a great amount of family there supporting you as well. I think it's very easy to get behind you and support you and cheer you on. And that's what I think we find ourselves doing in the MLS 360 studio each and every week. When Freeman broke onto the scene, we all became fans. So keep that going, man. You've been a joy to watch this year. You really have. And the sky's the limit. Like, what is your aspirations when it comes to the game right now?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously it's making that World Cup roster. I feel like that's something that I want to do. That's something that I think right now is my main focus, the main thing in my head right now. But also it's just, you know, it's just being able to be healthy and be able to just keep playing soccer, you know, what I love to do. So I think it's just, you know, being able to get that first part, the recovery, the practice, and be able to just be, you know, like you said before, day by day, just be able to be my best self, you know, and then just be able to try to work all for when the next summer comes in the World Cup, be able to make that roster. So I think that's the biggest thing in my head right now. It's the biggest goal I have, and I think everything I'm gonna do now is definitely gonna be towards that goal.
You're class, man. You really are. We got to love you and leave you because we've got another special guest joining us here in Christian Roldan. Before we let you go, your pick. Who do you think is going to win MLS Cup this year, Alex?
You know, I was telling the guys, you know, for me, it's either Cincy or Vancouver. I have.
Ooh, okay.
I see Cincy.
Pick one. Pick one.
I gotta go Cincy. I was telling Miles and Roman that I got Cincy, so I'll stick with that for sure.
All right, Alex Freeman.
Keep going, Alex.
Up for the boy.
Well done, my man.
Thank you, my guys.
You're top class. Thanks so much, Alex Freeman, joining us here live on YouTube. What a season! What a fella, Sash. It's been great fun watching Alex's progression here over the course of a phenomenal season, and we're getting set to welcome in another special guest right now. I know you're keen to chat with him, Sash. Christian Roldan of Seattle Sounders and US Men's National Team.
We got ballers on the show today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Christian, how are you, bud? Great to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, and Sash, I got to tell you, I'm watching the game the other night, and after the game finishes, Christian, you go over to the side, and my wife is watching with me, and she's not a football fan. She's just watching casually, and she's reading her book, and she looks up and she sees you taking what I assume was your child, right, from your wife, and her initial reaction is, "Oh, how's he going to get the baby back?" His wife, because it was so high. Like when you took your child, and she was concerned about the fact that you weren't going to be able to get your baby back up to your wife. Were there any issues there?
No, you know, I'm a short guy, got short arms. You know, they call me T-Rex at times. You know,
Rod Kazan came over and helped you out, did he?
My wife ended up coming onto the field because I couldn't. You know, it was just way too high.
That's the best, though, Christian. Is it not? Like we've often talked about this in the studio now that we're all old and retired, but how lucky we were to have kids while we played, and then they're, you know, just sharing those moments with them after the game. Like, how fun is that for you and your wife?
Yeah, it was great for us. You know, my daughter hadn't seen me play for the national team until September. And so, everything has been so rewarding, being able to have her come along for the ride, have my wife share those beautiful moments. And I hope that I have many more, and hopefully she can remember eventually some of those moments. But in the meantime, we have those photos, and we certainly have those memories.
How old's your daughter?
She's about 1.5 years now, so a lot of fun right now. A lot of work, though.
Yeah. I mean, you're the one traveling. It's more so on your wife, right?
Yeah, you feel so bad leaving, just knowing that she's doing everything possible for the family and making your dreams a reality.
How are you feeling coming out of this camp? Obviously very successful for the team, couple of wins against very good World Cup teams. So how are you feeling personally and as the group? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I think obviously feeling great. Our team performed really well in both games. I thought there were two kind of different games, to be quite honest with you. Paraguay was a little bit more closed, compact. Uruguay a little bit more open. Obviously, when you score early like that against a Bielsa side, a little bit more open. But overall, obviously, like two great performances from two different groups. I mean, you're going to need to rely on your entire roster and to see the performances that our two groups put out. I mean, it's just fantastic, right? We need more of that. And it's important. If guys are hurt, you need to be able to rely on absolutely everybody.
What's Poch like?
Motivator, right? This is a guy that has coached, the best that's ever played in the game, some of the better players around the world. And he sees a lot of talent in us, but just trying to get it out of us, right? Trying to make us play as a team, believe as a team, giving us that confidence that we can compete against anybody on any given day. It just takes, that tenacity that we all have in us. And obviously he gives a whole lot of confidence. He wants us to make mistakes in the final third. He wants us to press and not be afraid of tackling. And, overall, he just lets you express yourself altogether.
Does he have individual conversations with you about things like that, or is this more of a broad thing with the team?
Definitely more of a broad theme with the team. He sat us down first day of camp and set the tone. He talked about some of moments in our previous camp that were just unacceptable. And I think that just set the tone for the rest of the camp. You see guys flying into tackles. The very next day, right, it just sent a message to the group that, hey, there's still a whole lot more that we can achieve. But definitely it was more of a group thing.
I thought you guys were so much more aggressive in the start of both of these games, right? And I think that's so important when you're playing in any big game, is to not be reactive, right? Is that something that he talked about too, just throwing the first punch?
Those are the exact same words I used in the locker room. Not waiting to get punched first, right? In our previous games, I mean, you go back to South Korea, we got scored on first. Japan, we had a little bit more being on the front foot, right, pressing wise. Ecuador scored first. Australia got scored on first. So we were just talking about it all together, right? Not waiting to play free. Like, why are we waiting to get kicked? Why are we waiting for Christian to be on the ground when he gets kicked, right? Why are we waiting to make a mistake to play free? Those are things that we definitely improved on in these last two games, and we need to sustain that.
I love the fact that.
Hey, Kev, sorry, they were just waiting for that fight with Paraguay, dude. These
guys
were at camp in Philly, ready to fight. I loved it.
That's the sort of stuff that galvanizes a group, right, Christian?
Yeah, altogether, right? Making the first foul, right? Backing up your teammate, right? We obviously saw Alex in the middle of all that, but you see the rest of our team react in a positive and a really fast way, right? There's no regret leaving the bench. There's no regret running 40 yards to defend your teammate. And it definitely helps the group all together. It shows what we're all kind of made of. It shows that even in a short amount of time that I've known Alex, I want to back him up, right? Those are things that I think we're seeing, and we're seeing a lot of belief within our squad.
Love that. You said moments ago to Sasha's question about, throwing the first punch, you said those were words I used. You're 30 years of age now. Are you at the point in your career and life where you're like, I'm taking over, like not taking over, but I'm going to insert myself here. I'm going to make sure that if someone needs to speak up, I'm going to be that guy that's going to do it.
Yeah, look, I'm 30. I'm the second oldest in camp, which is crazy. But
there's a big distance between yourself and Tim.
Huge distance, very, very large distance. But in all seriousness, right? Like if we need someone to speak up, right? I'm going to speak up. I've played in too many games to be in a shell these days, right? Like maybe I was a lot more timid beforehand with my kind of first part of my national team career, but now, right? Like, what do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose at this point, right? I've been invited to my first camp in over 2 years in September. Now it's about showing my personality and showing, my leadership, showing what I can bring to the team, and whether it's on the field or off the field, I'm going to contribute.
I relate to that so much because I went through the exact same thing, Christian. I think I was about 2 years or so out of the national team before Jurgen brought me back in, and I was brought in as a replacement player, and I took my chance, and I felt after that like, I'm part of this team now. I'm not going to be afraid to speak up or be a leader, and that all just comes with age and experience. And I think that you've handled this really, really well. Yeah. Like the way that you've worked your butt off, you kept your mouth shut, you didn't whine about not being called up, and then you just led your team in Seattle, and it brought you back. So you deserve it, man. Keep going, dude. That's just I just want to give you a compliment. There's no question there.
No, and on that, Christian, the Club World Cup. The Club World Cup was one of those moments, that we see you week in and week out. We see what you do for Seattle, but for the Club World Cup audience, all of a sudden everyone's talking about. I remember the game against Atletico Madrid, obviously Botafogo, Paris Saint-Germain as well. I'm looking at Christian Roldan on social media, and everyone's talking about yourself and Obed in midfield. Was that a moment for you where, yeah, the results may not have gone your way, you're against some of the biggest continental champions on the planet, but it was satisfying to go and dominate a midfield in games like that against some of the best opposition in the world?
Oh, very satisfying. Look, I've never been able to compete against teams like that. I've never been able to compete against players like that. Even when I was part of the national team, I didn't get the big games, right? For me, this was my moment to capitalize on being at the Club World Cup, being at home, having so many eyeballs in games. But overall, for me to be able to compare myself to some of these bigger clubs, some of these bigger name players, like that gave me so much confidence knowing that I can compete at that level. And for me, right, I took that as a challenge. I wasn't thinking about national team stuff. I wasn't thinking about whether it would impact my career or not. It was a challenge for myself. And I think that's the right way to approach it.
Amazing. I relate to that as well. Just having the opportunity to play in UEFA Champions League and play against some of the best teams in the world. And I would walk off the pitch and just be like, those guys are not better than me. I was toe to toe with them for 90 minutes. And then you just take that confidence to your next games. So I've seen you do it, and I've lived it also. So I know what you're going through. What's the plan now? What's the plan for the off season? What are you going to do? Vacation, stay in shape, get ready for the next year. Big year for you and the Sounders.
Yeah, big year. Wrapping up this year. Just did my exit physical. As you know, you probably did like 27 of those. But in all seriousness, take 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to really relax. We played about 50 games this year with a lot of travel in between. And then going to Cabo in LA. So maybe I'll see you there, Sasha.
Nice. Did you guys ever play together?
No. Well, in preseason, we played a little bit with each other. Okay. But you know what? I played against Sasha when he was at Red Bulls. And, I was about 7 years old when I first met Sasha. and he was still playing. And so it's just great to see him, where he's at now.
Love that.
That's amazing. Thanks for making me feel old. I had a basketball game last night. So I'm very sore. Okay, so thanks.
Christian, I'm dying to ask you about the Sounders, because I look at several, and I know the season didn't go, the playoffs didn't go the way you would hoped, but as an organization, you're knocking it out of the park. Schmetz is Seattle through and through. So many guys in that locker room understand what it means to represent the city of Seattle and the Sounders crest. When you're looking, and I'm looking, and Sash and I are always analyzing these different teams around the league that will spend a boatload of money and they fall short. I live in Atlanta and I've seen it at firsthand here in this city, about how important is it that the players understand the fabric of the club. And it's aided, obviously, by younger players coming through that understand the meaning of representing a club like Seattle. And how much of that has contributed to your success, do you think?
Really important. I mean, our locker room is so good this year. From top to bottom, right? You have guys that just get it, right? Guys that understand the system we want to play, the type of characteristics you need to have in certain positions. Also, just the personality, the grit that you have to have as a Seattle player. We have a lot of local guys, and so guys that have seen Nico Lodero, Ozzy Alonso lift a trophy. It's that fabric of players that we want here. And then you add guys like Jesus and Paul, who have been around the league quite some time. Our team isn't full of stars, right? It's full of players that just get it. And I think that we're going to be in a good spot. Our foundation is really good. And now how can we improve? How can we make our roster even better? Because I think that we have a lot of soccer to play next year and a lot of trophies to play for.
All right. Who was the best team you played against in MLS this season, and will they win MLS Cup?
This year, wow. San Diego's very difficult to play against. If you press them, they're good in transition. Yeah. If you sit behind, they can break you down. I think that their team, they're going to be in the conference final. I think Vancouver.
So you're saying they're going to beat Minnesota easily?
I'm not going to say easily, but
stop putting words in his mouth, Sash.
Because we didn't do that. It was really tough. That Minnesota team is tough. Altogether, look, you can win in so many different ways, and I think as I'm getting older, I'm figuring that out. Right, like I'm with the national team. Right, you can play pretty soccer, but then you have a scrappy game and you win, 4-0, right? You have a game that you don't dominate. And so, there's so many different ways to win. And I think that everybody has their own kind of way to win, and Minnesota does things right. But, San Diego, I think they're a really good squad, and they're really tough to play against this year.
Who's a player in your position in the league that we don't talk about enough, that you've come up against? You're like, oh man, sneaky good.
Yeah, Tverskov was really good this year. He probably could have been best 11, probably should have been. Yeah. He's a player that makes things tick over there in San Diego. From a center mid position, right, a player that plays in that position, I have a whole lot of appreciation for his game.
That's such a good one. Kev, we've loved watching Tverskov, right?
Yeah.
And he plays the game so simply. It's funny when you say, Christian, like there's different ways to win. Obviously, Minnesota plays a drastically different style than San Diego, but there's also many ways to play the center mid position. And I think that you and Tverskov play the game differently, but I would take both of you on my team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's awesome shout. I love that you made best 11 because I think you earned it and you deserved it. Mm-hmm. And it also means so much, but that all the players voted for you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what always meant to me when I made best 11. Was that I had the respect of the players I played against, which I think you always get, Christian, which is very cool.
Yeah, that's always nice to hear.
Hey, Cincinnati going up against Miami. You guys put Miami to the sword, comfortable in the end. It was one of the most phenomenal matches just to take in. It was the Leagues Cup final. If you're talking to Cincinnati and you have to give them a little bit of a motivational speech as to how to shut down Messi in Miami, how do they do it? What would you say?
Yeah, it takes everybody, right? It takes your entire squad to be ready, to jump on him. He's a player that can wiggle out of trouble, and so just being aware of Messi altogether will put you in a good spot. But this team is sneaky, right? This team can score a lot of goals in many different ways. Messi doesn't have to be involved, but if you can take the game to them, if you can be physical, if you can make it a bit of a athletic game, you give yourself a really good chance.
What a game that promises to be, Sash. That one and many others coming up here. The Western Conference game, Son against Muller, is going to be epic too. But Christian, we have loved chatting with you today. Thank you so much. Congrats on your beautiful family. Obviously, seeing your child on the TV the other day was so cool for us to see as dads as well. And continued success with the national team and the Sounders, pal. Thank you for joining us here on the show.
Legend.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Stuff, Christian. Keep going, man.
Cheers, Christian. Thanks again. Christian Roldan joining us there on Club and Country. Such a composed person, a wonderful player, Sash. And I think he's operating at the peak of his powers now. This guy's balling right now. And you say, I didn't want to say it to Christian on the show, but for you, he's a lock now for Poch.
I think so. I think he's a lock. I think the way he handles himself, the way he's a leader, the way he's played in the games when taking his opportunities, that's the type of player that I want on my team. I think the type of player that all the other players want on their team. And then a coach like Pochettino is going to want Christian. Well, whether he makes the starting lineup or not, he's going to want him in his roster.
Yeah, no, he's been absolutely phenomenal and a real leader. And if I'm other MLS teams that need a little bit of that, he's someone who you'd be going after in the cash for the ability to go and spend money now on a player, because so often you see the shiny, bright new toys up front.
Yeah.
But what about the leader in central midfield that could take your club to another level?
Can't see Seattle letting him.
No, nor should they
at any moment, anytime soon. Other teams should be trying to find players like Christian. I don't see Seattle selling him.
Hey, what about Ireland? Are you confident, Sasha? I know you're kind of an Irish fan now, having spent some time in the country and enjoying many a Guinness with me over there. You've been to Croke Park and taken in the Irish culture. Do we have a chance away against the Czech Republic?
Of course you have a chance. I didn't think you had a chance beating Hungary away or beating Portugal at home, so I am fully on board now. This is a team of destiny, Kev. I want to see you crying your little eyes out again in March. I'm very excited for the draw to see how cool would a USA and Ireland in the same group at the World Cup be. Who would you even cheer for?
I'd have to go with my country of birth, Ireland.
Wow.
And I love the US national team, but when it comes to Ireland, I was 23 years there when I left for the US, and it would be Ireland. I'm so excited for the Scots. We've mentioned Curacao and Haiti already on this show. There's so many major stories with this World Cup that are still developing as we speak.
Yeah.
Denmark taking on North Macedonia, as you can see on the right hand side of your screen there. That's the other side of this tie. So I think it's a very difficult draw as well for Italy. Italy have to play Northern Ireland, and then if they win that game, they're likely going to Wales. Wales had fancy to beat Bosnia and Herzegovina at home. Wales under Craig Bellamy have been a tremendous story, one without superstars, but a side that are very well oiled and know what they need to do to get over the line. I think Italy find themselves in a perilous position here.
Imagine the pressure, Kev, that, I don't know, we feel going on air, or what we felt, playing in some games, but to play in a game where it comes down to a final, where one team gets to go to the World Cup and the other one gets to watch it at home.
I know.
It is so nerve-wracking, and I feel for all of these teams that, this is sports, and this is the highest level of sports, is you either win and go to a World Cup or you lose and you are out completely. And it's the beauty and the beast, right? The sadness of some teams, some good countries are going to miss out on this World Cup, but it's drama, and I can't wait to see these matches in March.
You see there the path B here in UEFA, Ukraine, Sweden getting in through the work of the Nations League, but they've been putrid in World Cup qualifying.
Awful, but wow, this gift that they have been given, Kev, with an opportunity to get to a World Cup still, they might just need to call Zlatan and get him out of retirement. So
Gyökeres and Isak up front. I mean, what, nearly 200 million worth of strikers that they can't seem to score goals. You've got Poland taking on Albania, the other side of that draw. And also FIFA announcing that whenever we see who wins these semifinals, the losers then have to play in a friendly game, 5 days later, because they have to fulfill these fixtures. So can you imagine being part of a team, lose it in the semi-final, and then 5 days later you got to go against the other loser from the other semi-final?
That's rough. That is rough. Yeah.
Oh, man. I tell you what, let me tell you about some hospitality here, folks. That's very important to lock in on. If you're ready for the FIFA World Cup 2026, go and secure guaranteed access to the globe's greatest sporting event with an official hospitality package. All packages include extraordinary seats, entertainment, food, and more. Book today at fifaworldcup.com/hospitality. We, as you can see here, this is the information. It would be cool to go and do that. Sash, being at this event is going to be difficult because everybody wants to try and be there. But I think I can say from being here in Atlanta, Georgia, and seeing the buzz in the surrounding areas of whether it's Decatur here in the local Atlanta area or further north, whether it's Blue Ridge or out to Savannah on the coast in Georgia, it's starting to ramp up here. World Cup fever, I think, is here already. What's it like out in LA?
Oh, yeah. All of my buddies are asking me, how do I get tickets? Can you hook me up? And I'm like, I'm trying to hook myself up. I want to take my family to these games. I was 9 years old when the World Cup was in Los Angeles, right? And the U.S. played a big game here. The World Cup final was here at the Rose Bowl. My son will be 9 years old next summer, the exact same age. The fever that World Cup gave me, I didn't know about international soccer before that. I didn't know about the World Cup. I didn't know what it was. And so at age 9, I learned about all these superstars, about all these guys that became household names from around the world. I just can't wait for our U.S. men's national team to inspire my son. They already do. He's already a soccer fiend. He's obsessed with the game just like I was, but the World Cup really pushes it over the edge.
What was your favorite memory from 94? And it's not even a favorite memory because I think I asked that because the one that comes to mind, I hate the fact that it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's Roberto Baggio, and it's the missed penalty.
That's what sticks out to me. I can tell you exactly where I was.
Me too.
Watching it, seeing him obviously gutted. And throughout the tournament, I learned like, oh, that guy with the little ponytail, that's a legend. Like, that's a baller. Everybody loves this guy. He is Italy's main man.
But my parents bought me a baseball cap with a ponytail down the end.
Oh, yeah.
And it was for Baggio, like the divine ponytail. I loved watching. There was a Calcio show, Football Italia, it was called, on Sundays in Ireland. And it was this brilliant wrap up. And I was obsessed with the likes of Batistuta and obviously Baggio, Vieri, and these stars. And then to see Baggio go that far, Ireland actually beat Italy in the group stages. Ray Houghton scored an amazing goal over Pagliuca, and then they lose like that in the final. So I'm just thinking of our kids will have those lasting memories. Like you say, Knox, your boy, is going to be the same age you were watching that World Cup. Yeah. It's pretty special, folks. Hey, club and country. It about does it for today in terms of national team talk. Just a reminder that we've got a great show coming up on December 5th. It's the day before MLS Cup. It's our World Cup draw watch party. Join us live for that. Watch along with us. We're going to have great special guests, a live audience. It's going to be so much fun on December 5th. And then December 11th, we'll go again. And then it's into the new year in February when we've got more club and country coming your way. Before we love you and leave you, Sash, quick focus on this weekend. I cannot wait. It all kicks off Saturday night for us. We're into the last 8 in Major League Soccer. On Saturday night, over 53,000 will jam into BC Place in Vancouver. It is the greatest buzz that's ever been around the Vancouver Whitecaps as Sun and LAFC come to town. I think this is the pick of the bunch. A lot of the focus will be on Messi and TQL Stadium and a packed house in Cincinnati, which is an absolutely phenomenal game. If I had to pick one, I think it's this one in Vancouver.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, what a way to kick off the conference semifinals is with one of the best matchups. Christian Roldan says he thinks San Diego is the best team they played. I think whoever wins this Vancouver versus LAFC game is going to win the Western Conference. And so this game is massive. I think these are the 2 best teams left for playoff teams in the West. I don't know how to call it. It's who's going to make the difference. I think it's going to be a game of very fine margins. Will it be Thomas Mueller who puts Vancouver over the edge, or is it Sun and Buanga who puts LAFC? That one's fantastic. Then the next one, Cincy, Miami, come on. TQL is going to be fireworks, Messi in the house. It's so good. And then I think Philly's out for some revenge against New York City. Remember, some years back, I think during the COVID year, this exact match in the Eastern Conference final. And then Philly got 10 of 11 starters out with COVID. So they're in for some revenge.
They met in back-to-back years, I believe, in the Eastern Conference final. Philadelphia obviously won when they went on to MLS Cup against LAFC. New York City won en route to winning it all in 2021. So a massive match there. And this is the fixture, by the way, that Philly went on. They won the Shield on the penultimate day by beating New York City. New York City without such key pieces in Pereira O'Neill and Alonso Martinez too. And then on Monday, San Diego, an expansion team. Snapdragon will be jam-packed and bouncing as the Loons come to town. And if there's any team fit to spoil the party, it's Minnesota.
And they've already beaten San Diego 3-0 at that stadium. An absolutely dominating performance. Triantis put himself on the map with that goal from about the half line on his debut. Minnesota's full of confidence right now. San Diego should be too, and it promises to be a really good one.
I think this is one of the most exciting times ever to be a fan of Major League Soccer. In fact, I think you could make an argument, Sash, that if you're a fan of MLS, maybe there hasn't been a more exciting weekend in play. And that is the fact that a Messi-led Miami team with Suarez back in the fold now and debates over whether he should even start head to arguably the best stadium in all of Major League Soccer, the best soccer-specific stadium that's going to be packed to the rafters against an Evander-led Cincinnati team. And obviously, we've talked about Vancouver, LAFC, the expansion side in San Diego, Philadelphia Supporter Shield winners. It is just a beautiful weekend, my friend. And yeah, that about wraps up club and country. As we look ahead to Major League Soccer, we'll love you and leave you here on the show. To our brilliant production crew, Tim Critchlow, our producer. Thanks a million, folks. Sash, you're a legend, pal. Chat soon.
Cheers, Kev. Love you, bro.
Love you too. All the best. See you guys.